Targum Pseudo-Jonathan, Exodus 20, verse 14. As we've been reading through the Ten Commandments and the Targums to this point, we've seen how Targum Pseudo-Jonathan will frequently be much longer than Onkelos because it's much freer in expanding material around the literal translation of the Hebrew. To illustrate this, I'd like to look at Timothy Lee's Reader, and we see here verse 14 and how long it truly is. Actually, it should be longer, and I'd like to explain now in this video. Let's look at the Editio Princeps, which is the manuscript tradition that lies behind Timothy Lee's Reader. Here I've highlighted the parts that directly correspond to Hebrew text, and I'd like to direct our attention to this phrase, V'la yichmid chad min kon yat. Now, to explain why I want to look at that phrase, let's now place it to the side, and I've put a typeset version of that, not trying to duplicate the spacing between words or the justification, where you can see that phrase. Now, I said this verse should actually be longer than it is, and that's because in the British Library manuscript, the other manuscript, we see V'la yachmid chad min kon yat beta dachavrei. And then this text. So I've pushed that down and shown in blue what's missing in the Editio Princeps and therefore in Timothy Lee's Reader. And this has to do with not coveting the neighbor's house. Now that's pretty important because that's in the Hebrew. Why did this get omitted? This is an example of a scribal error called homeoteluton, where the scribe, or the typesetter in this case of the medieval printing of Targum Pseudo-Jonathan, came to V'la, and his eye jumped from the first instance of that 5-word phrase to the next, thereby omitting what comes after it, beta dachavrei. So we're going to put that text back in and continue our reading of Targum Pseudo-Jonathan, Exodus 20, verse 14.